In this lesson, you'll learn how to play I Am a Rock using either strumming or fingerpicking patterns, as well as some optional fingerstyle sections. Now, I'll be using my tenor with low G tuning throughout this lesson. However, you can also follow along with high G tuning. Just keep in mind that if you have high G tuning, the fingerpicking patterns and the fingerstyle sections will sound a bit different on your instrument because your fourth string is one octave higher than mine. Now let's get started by looking at how to play the 6 chords in this song. We're starting on C, 3rd fret of the 1st string, and you can play C either with your ring finger or your pinky. Sometimes it makes it easier to play C with your pinky to transition to other chords, such as D minor, or F, or G7. Next we have F. Here we're playing the 1st fret of the 2nd string with our index finger and the 2nd fret of the 4th string with our middle finger. Then we have D minor. Now to go from F to D minor, we'll keep our F chord shape and we're going to add the 2nd fret of the 3rd string with our ring finger. Next we have G7. Here we still have our index finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and we have our middle and ring fingers on the 2nd fret of strings 3 and 1. Next we have E minor 7. Now to go from G7 to E minor 7, we'll lift up our index finger, keeping our middle finger and ring finger in place. And finally we have A minor, which is just the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Here you may want to use your middle finger or your index finger. Next we'll take a look at our 2 strumming patterns and how to apply them to the song. Our first pattern covers 2 beats and our second pattern covers 4 beats. Here's the first of our 2 strumming patterns, played slowly on a C chord. This pattern covers 2 beats with 2 down strums. The rhythm here is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Our second strumming pattern covers 4 beats, and it consists of both down strums and up strums. Here's how it looks at a slow tempo. Down, up, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up. The rhythm here is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And at a faster tempo, it will look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's apply our strumming patterns to the song. We're going to use pattern 1 on all of our chords in standard font, and pattern 2 on all of the chords that have a red 2 next to the chord name. We also have a few chords in bold at the end of the song, and for those chords we'll play just 1 down strum. Now let's take a look at verse 1. In line 1 we have 2 C chords, both with a red 2 next to them. So we'll play pattern 2 twice on C. Then in line 2 we go to our F chord, still on pattern 2. And then we go back to our C chord for pattern 2 twice more. In line 3 we go to our D minor chord. Now D minor, G7, and F are each held for 2 beats. So we're going to play pattern 1 as these all appear in standard font without a 2 next to them. And then our C chord at the end of line 3 is held for 4 beats. So we'll play pattern 2 on our C chord. So here's how we count line 3 at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Lines 4 and 5 are played the same way, with pattern 1 on D minor and then pattern 1 on E minor 7. 1, 2, 1, 6, we'll go back to D minor and we'll play pattern 1 on D minor, then on F, and then on G7. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. In line 7, we'll go back to our F chord. We'll play pattern 1 on F, C, and F, and then we'll play pattern 2 on all the rest of the chords in this line. So here's how we count line 7. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second and third verses are played the exact same way as verse 1. When we get to verse 4, there is a difference in the final line. Here we don't have the two A minor chords at the end of line 7, so we're going to end verse 4 on our C chord. From here we move into our outro. The outro consists of mostly chords in bold, where we'll play just one downstrum. So starting on D minor, we have one downstrum, then one downstrum on G7, then one downstrum on C. Then in line 2 of the outro, we'll go back to D minor for one downstrum, then one downstrum on G7, then we're going to play pattern 2 twice on our C chord, and then we end the song with one downstrum on our final C chord in bold. If you're enjoying this lesson, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what other songs you'd like to learn, and please give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help to support my channel. Next, we'll look at our two finger-picking patterns and how to apply them to the song. Just like our strumming patterns, our first finger-picking pattern covers 2 beats, and our second pattern covers 4 beats. Here's our first finger-picking pattern, and this one covers 2 beats. So the rhythm here is 1 and 2 and. We're going to pick the 4th string with our thumb, then the 3rd string with our index finger, and then strings 1 and 2 together with our middle and ring fingers. And here's this pattern at a faster tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And here's our second finger picking pattern. This one covers 4 beats. The rhythm here is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We'll start by picking string 4 with our thumb, then string 2 with our middle finger, string 3 with our index finger, then strings 1 and 2 together with our middle and ring fingers, and then we'll finish by picking strings 4, 3, and 2 with our thumb, index finger, and middle finger. And here's how the pattern sounds at a faster tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll apply our finger picking patterns to the song the same way we applied our strumming patterns, using pattern 1 on chords that appear in standard font, and pattern 2 on chords that have a red 2 next to them. Now for the chords in bold in the outro, we'll pick all 4 strings together. Now let's walk through verse 1. In line 1, we start on our C chord, playing pattern 2 twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in line 2, we're going to play pattern 2 once on our F chord and then twice on C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. go to our D minor chord. And here we'll play pattern 1 on D minor, G7, and F. And then we'll go back to pattern 2 on our C chord. So here's how we count line 3 at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Lines 4 and 5 are played the same way. For each of these lines, we'll play pattern 1 once on D minor and then once on E minor 7. 1, 2, 1, 2. In line 6, we go back to D minor and we'll play pattern 1 one time on D minor, F, and G7. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then in line 7, we're going back to our F chord and we'll play pattern 1 on F, C, and F, and then pattern 2 on the rest of the chords. So here's how we count line 7. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll play the second and third verses the same way, as well as verse 4 until we get to line 7. When we get to line 7 of verse 4, we're going to end on our C chord. Then we'll move from here into the outro. Now for the outro, for all of the chords in bold, we're going to pick all 4 strings together. So in line 1 of the outro, we'll pick all 4 strings on D minor, then on G7, and then on C. Then in line 2 of the outro, we'll go back to D minor. We'll pick all 4 strings again on D minor, then on G7, then we'll play pattern 2 twice on C, and for the final C chord in bold, we'll pick all 4 strings to end the song. Did you know that all of my song sheets, fingerstyle tab arrangements, and songbooks are available for download on Patreon? You'll find the link down below in the video description. If you're new to my channel, then welcome. I'm Lara. I'm a musician, a composer, and a ukulele teacher, and I hope you have fun exploring my song tutorials and fingerstyle tab arrangements for all levels. And finally, we'll walk through the beautiful fingerstyle sections, the intro, the outro, and the interludes between the verses. Here's how we play the fingerstyle introduction to the song, starting with measure 1 at a slow tempo. Here we're starting by picking strings 3 and 4 together, both open strings. Now if you're playing with a high G, I would recommend that in these fingerstyle sections, you don't play the 4th string, so pick just the 3rd string. Now after we pick these 2 open strings together, we're going to pick the 3rd string 2 more times, and then we have 3 sets of hammer-ons and pull-offs on the 2nd string. So each time we do this, we're going to pick the 2nd string, then hammer onto the 1st fret with our index finger, and then pull off. We're playing each of these hammer-on and pull-off combinations as triplets. Triplet, triplet, triplet. So here's how we count measure 1 at a slow tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Measure 2 is played the exact same way as measure 1, and then in measure 3 we'll pick strings 3 and 4 together, followed by the 3rd string twice, and we're going to let this note ring, and this is where our lyrics come in to move into verse 1. So from this point, we'll go right into pattern 2 on our C chord. The final fingerstyle section for the outro is played the same way as the intro. If you choose to play this section, then you'll start it on the word cries, and you'll play the outro in place of the final 3 C chords. Now the tempo for the intro as well as the outro is a bit slower than the rest of the song. So once we get to our C chord in verse 1, then we'll pick up the tempo to 110 beats per minute and maintain that through the song until we get to the outro. For measure 3 in the outro, we'll slow down the tempo to end the song. Now let's look at our interlude that comes after verse 1, starting with measure 1 at a slow tempo. Here we're starting on the open second and third strings together, and then the rest of the measure is played on the open second string, except for one note on the first fret using our index finger. For this measure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Measure 2 is played the exact same way. And then we have measure 3. The rhythm for measure 3 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We start measure 3 on the second fret of the third string with our middle finger, then we play the open second string, then back to the second fret, and we finish on the open second string. In measure 4, we'll play our second finger picking pattern on A minor. For verse 2 come in at the end of measure 4, and then we'll move to our C chord on pattern 2. Now we move into this interlude after we've played part of line 7 in verse 1. So we're going to play our F through G7 chords, and then instead of the rest of the line playing the chords, we'll move right into the interlude. So here's how it looks to start on our F chord and then move into the first measure of the interlude at a slow tempo. The interludes after verses 2 and 3 are played the exact same way. And then the interlude after verse 4 is a shorter version. So here measure 1 is played the same way. And then in measure 2, we'll pick the open strings 2 and 3 together. From here, we begin the lyrics for the outro, and we move into our outro chords. So here's how it looks to move into and out of this interlude, starting with line 7 of verse 4 through the first line of the outro, beginning on F. Next, we're moving into our play along, where I'll play and sing through the entire song, and you can play along with me. Now, I'm going to alternate between the strumming patterns and the finger picking patterns, and I'll play all of the fingerstyle sections. But for an easier version, feel free to stick with either just the strumming patterns or just the finger picking patterns. 5, 6, 7, 8. Winter's day, fortress deep and mighty, but none may penetrate. I have no need of friendship, friendship causes pain. It's laughter and it's loving I disdain. I am a rock, I am an island. Don't talk of love. Well, I've heard the word before. It's sleeping in my memory. I won't disturb the slumber of feelings that have died. If I never loved, I never would have cried. I am a rock, I am an island. I have my books and my poetry to protect me. I am shielded in my armor, hiding in my room, safe within my womb. I touch no one and no one touches me. I am a rock, I am an island. And a rock feels no pain, and an island never cries. I hope you enjoy learning all of these options to play I Am a Rock. Have fun practicing this beautiful song, and thanks for watching.